Hello! So, we have a very nice weather today, and that is why I thought it would be a very good idea to film this video outside. Now, we will see how the audio is gonna turn out, but I'm having high hopes because I think it is pretty great that we have such nice weather and look, there are leaves falling from the trees and everything. It is an ideal autumn day. What I want to talk about today is why I never really understood fashion. And the reason why I thought about this topic is because here in Paris there's a lot of emphasis on fashion. And I think everywhere around the world there is quite a lot of emphasis on fashion, and there is a common assumption that everyone should understand fashion, especially from girls, even from a younger age. It is expected to understand fashion, whatever that is supposed to mean, understanding fashion. I think my interest in what kind of clothes I was wearing started about the age of 14. Up until then I didn't really understand that I had a choice of what kind of clothes I was wearing and just in general what colors I was wearing, and I didn't really care about it either. But I think a lot of teenagers fall into the trap that they are starting to follow fashion instead of trying to come up with their own style that they are comfortable with. So it is very easy to just copy everything that is in a magazine instead of trying to be who you are and instead of trying to really wear what you are comfortable with. I think that the biggest obstacle when you are a teenager is that you don't really know what you want and you don't really know what you want to wear or what you should be wearing, because you haven't really had the experience of being in a lot of situations, and therefore you don't really know what will be comfortable for you and what will be the right thing to wear at certain occasions. There are just pigeons everywhere walking around me. I think they are expecting for me to give them something. In the background, very similar things happened last time. I was saying that the biggest obstacle is that you don't really know what you want to wear. I think there is a very little chance of someone else coming up with a trendy piece that will be exactly in line with what you really like, and therefore it looks very strange when someone is starting to follow fashion, just easily copying it. But I really understand why that is happening to teenagers. I think that it is much easier, much more obvious to start to follow fashion because you feel like you are dressing according to a socially accepted standard. You feel like people will be less likely to judge you if you are following fashion, and it is very scary to do your own thing and be different as a teenager, because a lot of times teenagers can be very unkind to the ones who are dressing different, who are behaving differently. And I definitely felt like I was being judged by what I was wearing. Maybe it was just inside me that I thought that other people cared about what I was wearing, even though I didn't really care about what other people were wearing, and I was never really judging anyone about their clothing, because who was I to judge? I guess my approach to fashion was always kind of weird. I never really understood the concept of the fashion changing every year. If you think about it, it is really weird that you should change your style every year. I guess that is why I liked makeup more. In makeup, it is much more accepted to have your own style of makeup and to always wear the same thing. I'm not saying that in makeup you cannot fall into the trap that you feel like you always have to wear different things, but at least a commonly accepted makeup look is not changing each year. And there are of course different trends. For example, in the fall you can wear darker lips, but I think that pretty much always you could wear darker lips and darker nail polishes in the fall, and in the summer there were the much more summery colors. I don't really feel like makeup is driving this really weird concept that you should be wearing different things each year. I cannot even imagine how much shopping it requires to really follow fashion. You always wear the clothes that are really cut out to the trends of that particular year. Whoa! That was a B, I'm sorry. And sometimes there are weird consequences of people who are not really into fashion, trying to get into fashion and trying to follow fashion, even though they are not really into that whole thing and they don't really understand it. There are, of course, people who follow fashion and who really look like they are really owning the situation. They might be the ones who could develop their own style. I don't really know. Yeah, maybe they are the people who are sticking to their own style and still following fashion. But if you are really not into fashion, then that is when things are getting a bit strange. There is the situation when you are not really into fashion, but you feel like you should be. You feel like there is a social expectation for you to follow fashion. That is when you can start really wearing clothes that you are not really comfortable in and that are absolutely not according to your own style. But I think that you can really tell when someone is not really comfortable the clothes that they are in. And an extreme case of that is when you are not really buying fashionable clothes, but you are trying to replicate somehow the fashionable clothes with your old clothes. Yeah, that is even weirder. And the third situation is when you feel like you should be into fashion, but you really are not, and you are always feeling underdressed, and you are maybe feeling envious of the people who are seemingly completely in line with their own style and completely can pull off some very fashionable clothes that you are never able to pull off. And I have been through I think each of these stages. But fortunately, I got tired of the whole situation. A couple of years ago, I started to really try to wear only the things that I really like, and I'm at the point where I don't try to wear fashionable clothes. When I started doing that, I didn't declutter my clothes yet. I didn't really take this whole thing seriously yet, which definitely made the situation harder when you already have old clothes that are not in line with your style and you're trying to come up with what is exactly right for you. But at least I started doing that. I think I always had friends who were similar. They always followed fashion, but in their own way. They really had their own style, their own interpretation of what was really going on around them. But they were never really crazy into getting always the new trendy clothes, which I think is a very good compromise in this situation, because you feel like you are up to date to a certain point, but you don't feel the pressure that your entire wardrobe is supposed to change every year. What is funny about that is that now I feel much more comfortable in my clothes, and I feel like I can dress well for occasions as well. For example, in high school, I always felt like I had to wear high heels for more serious exams, of course, not everyday exams, but I never really felt comfortable in them, and therefore the whole thing was just strange. But now I feel that I really can dress well for an occasion because I know what I like, and therefore I will feel comfortable in a particular piece. And now I don't really feel out of place when I'm with people who are really into fashion, because now I know, I acknowledge that I'm not wearing the same clothes as they are, and I'm not wearing really fashionable clothes necessarily, but I don't really feel the pressure to wear them, and I really feel much more comfortable. It is a cliche to say that you shouldn't be worried about what other people think, but it is really true, and it makes a lot of sense. Essentially what I mean to say was, it is better to have your own style than to follow fashion at any cost. That is what I think is best to do if you really want to feel comfortable in your own skin. But it is a very nice day. There are literally no clouds around here. Just let me quickly show you around. By the way, I'm always sitting on the ground when I'm filming these. So, this is what the leaf situation is. Otherwise, have a very nice day. I hope the weather is nice where you live as well. And thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.